Hi, my name is Sarah Wood. I have 3 school-age children in St. Tammany Parish Public Schools. I would first like to state a point of contention in saying that I do not feel that it is best practices and should probably be illegal for this committee to conduct the people's business as to education with prior knowledge that on the same date and in close proximity of time of day, the House Education Committee is also conducting the people's business. Both committees greatly affect my life these days. They actually consume everything that I do these days. And I am being denied not only my right to attend the House Ed Committee, but be informed and also to speak out over there. NGOs are not denied this right because they have an employee who can come here and attend both meetings. So I would just urge you that best practices would dictate that you coordinate this a little better. As a parent, the fact that this was done does not instill trust for the intentions of this committee. Another example is what I'm here to discuss, and that's Senate Bill 449. It appears to address, I don't know how you do this, it appears to address parental concerns with student data privacy, but it certainly does not. This bill actually memorializes by law the policies, the horrible policies and practices of BSEE and LDE as to student data privacy, and gives them more authority. As to my child's privacy, shamefully, it gives parents nothing. It gives nothing but a data index, pretty much. And this is truly an insult to parents. But it is not unusual, given the elitist and statist mentality that I've experienced lately in trying to fight for my child's best interest. Nobody has better intentions than me and other parents, other moms and dads fighting this. Yet we have been villainized in every way possible. And this is my first experience in trying to change something. And it has been a horrible experience. I think that parents need to... I've noticed that parents are basically omitted in basically everything, and yet we're second to children in this, and we matter nothing. We matter nothing, and therefore our children must matter nothing. This is my children's information that you're talking about unintended consequences for running the government and the NGOs or whoever else has an interest. And if we lived in a country or a state with leaders that truly were respectful and acted respectful of freedom and my right to privacy, this bill, your bill, would actually reflect the fact that as a parent, I am the sole legal authority over my child. And you would attempt to restore my right to fully control the who, what, where of my child's information, including, of course, any and all personal information, the collection, storage, and sharing of that information. As citizens, please don't forget, you say you remember, but your actions don't line up with that. We are afforded constitutional protections of due process and a right to privacy in this country, yet there is a complete and absolute denial of those protections, and this bill completely fails to address our right to privacy concerns, very valid concerns that we have spent months trying to get you all to look at it. As parents for our children, it falls short for an effective due process requirement because it gives BSEE even more discretion than that under which we parents are currently suffering. It refers a lot to FERPA, which is meaningless because it was gutted by the U.S. Department of Education by the stroke of a pen in December of 2011, which also kind of decided that parents don't count because no longer are we required to consent, and basically state education agencies can pretty much call anybody an authorized representative. That's what FERPA represents these days. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows that there are major issues with it. When Louisiana must now go beyond FERPA. You can always go beyond federal law. FERPA provides one thing. That does not stop Louisiana from going just a little bit further, or in my opinion, a lot further to protect my children's privacy, who are currently vulnerable. I mean, does it not matter that our children's social security numbers were uploaded to a third-party vendor? Have you looked at that in-service agreement and what it states? How would you feel if your information, maybe we've become numb to that because the government just is in every aspect of our business. But I say the buck has to stop with our children. If we don't stand up for our kids, I don't know what we're doing here. As parents, we have the divine obligation to protect our children, and yet we are effectively denied this right when it comes to student data, as shown by the cavalier actions of Bessie and LDE. And this bill proposes, in light of those actions, to reward them with more authority and discretion by law. This is absurd, and again, suggests a wholly statist mentality favoring a village approach relative to children and totally negating my right as a parent, as the sole legal authority and protector of my child, and guess what? His or her right to privacy. It is obvious with this bill that parents and children are effectively, again I'm saying, discounted in every way relative to student data information, and this is the vulnerable and powerless reality that this bill seeks to perpetuate by law. It doesn't seek to help it. I urge you to oppose this bill and seek to pass a bill that places children and parents first and foremost, rather than behind Bessie, LDE, and all the other government agencies and NGOs who seek to supplant us in way too many ways. By the way, in a traditionally free America, the way that we handle unintended consequences that burden these governmental agencies is with one word: consent. Consent from the person to whom that information belongs. And my children's information, guess what, belongs to me. It does not belong to the government. You know who early on streamlined the connection and uses of data collection and tracking children? Because that's what you're doing. Nobody's called it that, but you're tracking children. You're wanting to track them more and more. You're stating novel and ideal purposes for tracking them, but you're wanting to track them. I just want to remind you that very early on, the countries that streamlined the collection and uses of data and tracking were China and Russia. How far do you think that you can go before you no longer can deny to the masses that as to education, healthcare, finance, and just about everything else, your goal is to know each of us as government so that you can control all of us and where we go and what our destinies may be? I can't take this. Look at what the American individual has gotten with all this data. We've gotten less freedom and more government, no matter which way you spin it. I'm sorry. I'm very upset.